What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So we got one here by Jason Whitlock. Bill Belichick's fortune. Is it really getting sucked dry by his 24-year-old girlfriend? So let's check out this little snippet of his video and let's see.
Statements released by Belichick, statements released by CBS News, all about this interview where Jordan Hudson was pretty talkative and appeared like she was controlling Bill Belichick. Belichick and North Carolina have put out a statement that, kind of pushes back against that. Like, hey, man, we did a 30-minute interview and it was good and productive. They just edited it in a way that made Belichick look bad. I'm going to read Belichick's entire statement here. Stick with me. I want to make sure we have all this context. I agreed to speak with CBS Sunday morning to promote my new book, The Art of Winning: Lessons from My Life in Football. Prior to this interview, I clearly communicated with my publicist at Simon & Schuster that any promotional interviews I participated in would agree to focus solely on the contents of the book. Unfortunately, that expectation was not honored during the interview. I was surprised when unrelated topics were introduced, and I repeatedly expressed to the reporter, Tony DeCopil, and the producers that I preferred to keep the conversation centered on the book. After this occurred several times, Jordan, with whom I share both a personal and professional relationship, stepped in to reiterate that point to help refocus the discussion. She was not deflecting any specific question or topic, but simply doing her job to ensure the interview stayed on track. Some of the clips make it appear as though we were avoiding the question of how we met, but we have been open about the fact that Jordan and I met on a flight to Palm Beach in 2021. The final 8-minute segment does not reflect the productive 35-minute conversation we had, which covered a wide range of topics related to my career. Instead, it presents selectively edited clips and stills from just a few minutes of the interview to suggest a false narrative that Jordan was attempting to control the conversation, which is simply not true. So that's Bill Belichick's statement. CBS, hold for a second, I'm not there yet. CBS News issued a statement. When we agreed to speak with Mr. Belichick, it was for a wide-ranging interview. There were no preconditions or limitations to this conversation. This was confirmed repeatedly with his publisher before the interview took place and after it was completed. Let me be fair here. I tend to believe Belichick. That, he thought he was agreeing to a conversation about his book. CBS, looking at his sugar baby there, thought, hey, we can do something better than talk about this book. Let's talk about his sugar baby that he goes nowhere with. Belichick saying we're in a personal and professional relationship. You guys have heard me talk about the advice my father gave to me years and years ago. My father owned a small bar in the hood in Indianapolis. He owned several of them. He had a beautiful barmaid named Debbie. Debbie was just beautiful. Her sister was even better looking. Debbie, or your sister, if you're listening, holy cow, you were beautiful. And so I used to ask my dad, because my dad was a good looking guy and he was known as a playboy. Him and my parents divorced when I was like 5. My dad remarried like 3 times. He was, kind of the Liz Taylor of Black men in Indianapolis. He loved to marry younger and pretty women. But anyway, I'm off track here. But at some point, I asked my dad, like, man, you got to be tapping. This is when I was older. This wasn't me as a kid. I was in my 20s. I was like, you got to be tapping Debbie. I know you're tapping Debbie. And he was like, nope, not doing it. Once you start sleeping with your employees, they're no longer your employees. You work for them. And I've never forgotten that. Never forgotten it. My dad being wise. And I look at Bill Belichick's lack of wisdom.
So Bill Belichick, yeah, it's like I don't nothing about my relationship. Want to keep it focused on the book, but I guess a lot of the media is like, okay, Nope. We want to add some spiciness to this. So, so there you go. But let's continue to see what's going to happen here.
And it's amazing. And I saw there's a New York Post story that came out yesterday about the $8 million real estate portfolio that Jordan Hudson has put together since meeting Bill Belichick.
Oh,
She just
yeah.
started buying property in 2023 and getting loans for property. And this is all spelled out in the New York Post. And Bill Belichick saying they met in 2021. My math is right. That's 4 years ago. And that makes her, if my math is correct, 20 at that time. And 4 years
Wow.
ago, Bill Belichick would have been 69. And he met a 20-year-old on a plane. And by 2023, she started acquiring real estate property that the New York Post is estimating now is like $8 million. And so
Wowzers.
I've thought about this, and I don't know. How many of you have ever seen the show Rescue Me? It's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
show starring Dennis Leary. It's about New York firefighters um, that have survived 9/11, and it's a bit of a comedy, it's a bit of a drama, it's a bit of a soap opera. It's an amazing show.
Yeah, Rescue Me. Oh my goodness. I used to like own the CDs to this. So now there's a lot of lessons in Rescue Me and how crazy, besides what Whitlock is saying. Yeah, the craziness of so he's gonna explain one of the characters. So we're gonna stay tuned and here we go.
And on the show Rescue Me, Dennis Leary's the star character, but they have a lieutenant in the fire department at their firehouse named, they call him Lou for lieutenant. I believe his name is Kenny Shea, but they called him Lou Shea.
Yeah.
Lou Shea is a mid 50s firefighter or early 50s or late 40s firefighter who gets involved with an escort named Candy, very attractive
Yes.
brunette. And this is in season 2. Candy, this plays out over the whole course of season 2. She gets her hooks into Lou, and I think starts describing to Lou that I got this pimp that I can't get away from, or this guy that I can't get away from, and if I just had X amount of dollars, I could finally break free, and Lou, me and you can be together.
Yeah.
And Lou ends up handing over basically his 401k to this young escort, pretty woman, Candy. And once she gets the money, she bounces and disappears on Lou. His entire retirement, he's turned over. And I'm leaving out details, but it's an amazing story. And like when the turn comes, you're
Yeah.
kind of shocked as an audience, like, oh my, she just ripped this guy off and destroyed him. Lou, now he's stuck his hand up in the oven and like, that fire is hot. He's been burned by this escort, Candy.
Yep.
In season 5,
Yeah.
Candy, she runs away from Lou and gets locked up for something unrelated to Lou. But in
It's so
season
crazy.
5, she gets out of jail and Sweets talks Lou into marrying her.
Yeah.
She did it again. She ripped Lou off again. She gave Lou some story about this money she's inherited, and they're putting it all in the same bank account, blah, blah. She got
Bull.
Lou twice.
Yeah, I
Bill
remember.
Belichick is Lou. He's Lou Shea. And I don't know if Jordan Hudson is an escort, a pro. I do know she's a woman. She's a young woman that is taking advantage of a 73-year-old man who's in a full-blown life crisis because of his failure with dealing with the aftermath of Tom Brady leaving the New England Patriots. This man is incredibly insecure, and this woman is taking advantage of it. And men, we naively think, and we naively get away from a biblical worldview and think like, these women, they're so well-intentioned. oh, there's no woman that would, we think we have the wicked spirit and the sneaky nature. And
No, majority of the women do. You know, even if some of the women that I meet is like good-hearted, but in the back of my mind, yeah, there's something there. Even if they're not trying to, but sometimes it's there. So this is the case with Bill Belichick. So yep, 8 million. Wow, for her and her portfolio makes you think.
we're the true predators. And look, I don't want to demonize women, but the Bible makes it crystal clear that woman's nature that hasn't submitted to God and hasn't submitted to man, woman was made for man. God, man needs to follow God, woman needs to follow man that's following God. Bill Belichick, as best we know, I'm not seeing him follow God. He's following behind a woman, a young woman, who has played him with her vagina and with her innocent, harmless nature. This is crazy. Someone needs to rescue Bill Belichick. You should watch the show Rescue Me. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And season 2 and season 5 will help you understand what's going on with Bill Belichick. He's joined the New York Fire Department and he's being made a fool of in real life. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. He even brings this up. So, yeah, for Bill Belichick, yeah, she's a nice hottie, and he's just pretty much maybe funding it or not. We don't know, but I think, but all of a sudden, yeah, his girlfriend came up with what, $8 million worth of portfolio in real estate. Yep. So we'll just leave it at that. All right. If any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special. Help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.